Welcome back to Wonderful Videos. I'm Rylan and today we are going to watch the best Lovecraft movies of all time. Can we all just accept that Howard Phillips Lovecraft is one of the best horror writers the world has ever seen, and if it hadn't been for his untimely death, he would have continued to please us with his fascinating stories about the intricacies and untruths of human psychology and the natural and unnatural forces that wanted to destroy the human mind. Lovecraft was a lost product of his time, someone who was so good at what he did that even today, more than 7 decades after his death, writers and filmmakers continue to be inspired by his works. Lovecraft's work was mainly concerned with mixing the science fiction genre with horror, often with cosmic horror elements. Several filmmakers around the world have adapted his work, and even the works of later horror authors, such as Stephen King, owe a lot to Lovecraft. In this video, we are going to examine 30 of the best Lovecraft adaptations from the early 1980s to the early 2020s. So are you ready to be excited and anxious? If so, don't forget to send a like to our videos, and also don't forget to sign up to stay up to date with all our nerdy content. Now let's start with the number 1 destruction of 2018. The movie starts with the interrogation of an army vet and cell biology professor named Lena, after the expedition had returned to a zone called Shimmer, which was plagued by various anomalies. The Glimmer had appeared 3 years ago when a meteorite crashed on a coast in the southern United States. He gradually grew in size and began to cover more and more large areas. Since the creation of the Shimmer, the government began to send various expeditions, but only one man brought Lena's husband Cain back. He was soon taken into custody by the authorities and placed under critical observation. Soon, Lena took it upon herself to uncover the secret and joined a team of experts to go to the other side of the Shimmer. Upon entering, Lena learns that the place has mutated all the flora and fauna, and the laws of nature simply do not apply. It's the same plant. It's as if they are stuck in a continuous mutation. There are strange and dangerous creatures, but that's not all. The Shimmer also psychologically messes up people, which would often make her murderous. Would she ever make it again? Written and directed by Alex Garland, the film packs every spice that a cosmic horror should have to destroy a deliciously creepy dish, other elements to offer, and combines themes such as jungle survival, environmental disasters, vicious mutated life forms, etc. The film was directed by an almost exclusively female cast and starred Oscar Isaac Cain, with stars such as Natalie Portman, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Gina Rodriguez, and Tessa Thompson, who also did a great job as Duke Leto Atreides in Denis Villeneuve's Dune. If you want to shake up your night with some fear and awe, Annihilation is your favorite movie. Number 2. Reanimator 1985. Mad scientists are never immune from the drastic side effects of their crazy science. Herbert West develops a reviving chemical and uses it on his dead professor of the University of Zurich. Named after Hans Gruber to bring him back to life, Hans Gruber's revived body turns pale and his eyes burst blood, and he finally dies again. After this event, West went to Arkham, Massachusetts to continue his research at Miskatonic University. He begins to live with Dan Cain, turning her basement into a personal laboratory. They created a regent who was able to successfully revive corpses, but other corpses came back as zombies, as fate intended. Dan and Cain eventually give birth to an elegant mess as they run around injecting corpses, including that of Dr. Halsey, Dean and Dan's engaged father. All hell breaks loose when Carl, Megan Halsey's confused lover, and her father's colleague are revived and begin to control all the other revived zombies. How would the young scientists control such a situation? H.P. Lovecraft wrote the story Herbert West Reanimator back in 1922, and a few years later Stuart Gordon turned it into a hilarious science gone wrong movie with Scream Queen Barbara Crampton. Interestingly, several names were borrowed later in this movie, such as Hans Gruber in Arkham, depicting villains and similar concepts that you remember. Alan Rickman's Hans Gruber from Die, What a Villain He Was. Stuart Gordon received a positive response from critics and fans alike for his film and will always be considered an inspiration for future horror comedies like Shaun of the Dead and Zombieland. Number 3. Color from Outer Space 2019. The film is mainly about an invisible alien entity that came to Earth and began to infect all living beings nearby, including plants. The alien came to Earth with a dazzling meteorite that crashed on the remote estate of a modest family. His presence was recognizable only by the color he emitted. The magenta color, which does not exist exactly as a unique wavelength in the visible light spectrum, which is distributed through a prism. They will soon become the central villains of this vicious force, which seems to be gradually and steadily, but extremely psychological and physiological as time begins to expand. The environment and nature itself takes on an otherworldly hue, and all things that were once beautiful and bright. Besides, the magenta hue began to strongly influence the local flora and fauna. In accordance with the 2018 film Annihilation, One may be able to see various similarities between Richard Stanley's Color from Space and Alex Garland's Annihilation, but we assure you that both films are poles apart in their central themes and adaptations of the Lovecraft horror. Stanley's film is so great, it slowly gets under your skin and you feel uncomfortable with the events that you have just seen. Nicolas Cage as the patriarch of the family has done a fantastic job, to say the least, with a vividly appealing music, great cinematography, terrible special effects and excellent performances. Color Out of Space is both a horror film and a drama that tries to investigate the fragility of family ties in the event of an external crisis. For an in-depth analysis of this film and its monster, you can watch our video entitled Body Mutation Psychedelic Color Monster. Color from Space explains in detail. We leave a link for you in the description. Number 4. Necronomicon 1993. This film is a kind of anthology of 4 short films entitled The Library, The Drowned, The Cold, and Whispers. The Library shows H.P. Lovecraft going to a monastery to advance his research and taking notes from the Alchemical Encyclopedia Volume 3, but he knows that the monks protected and hid the Necronomicon, or the Book of the Dead, so he manages to steal the keys to a cellar where Necronomicon was kept, and soon finds the book when he starts reading. We are led through a series of rather disjointed stories. As soon as I read the will that I had to look at this is really very strange. In The Drowned, a man had lost his wife and child, and to get them back he wanted to use the Book of the Dead, but we all know how things turn out when trying to revive someone. The other 2 stories are equally threatening and relate to a series of murders, respectively. A serial killer. As the stories progress, they become more and more frightening, but Campers, directed by 3 directors, Necronomicon seems to be a missed opportunity, because the concept had great potential. Nevertheless, if you want to see the fights of a man who stops working when he gets heated up, but still wants to do the mattress Macarena with a lovely lady, then you have it in here too. There is an interesting setting about 2 policemen who are trying to catch a serial killer named the Butcher, but end up becoming the victim of an underground nightmare in downtown Los Angeles, although H.P. Lovecraft himself fights with a sword against a demonic being. Although this film spreads more cheese than a cheeseburst pizza, he successfully builds an atmosphere of fear thanks to the neat special effects. In 5th place and tweaks the reputation of Cthulhu. 2005, a professor on his deathbed leaves his grandnephew Matt Foyer with a collection of notes and documents about the Cthulhu cult. Matt begins to study these documents and learns about Cthulhu, a vaguely anthropoid monster with a squid-like head, amazing hind claws and long narrow wings on the back. It was like a fusion of a huge octopus, a dragon and a human. Matt are starting to get more and more involved with the monster and the cult that worshipped it. In fact, he almost made it a personal crusade to uncover the secrets of Cthulhu, but in the process, Matt begins to put his own sanity at risk. The more he learned, the more terrible things became for him. As a last resort, he hands over the baton to someone unexpected. Directed by Andrew Lima, The Call of Cthulhu is a silent film that uses various modern and vintage filming techniques to highlight the look of a movie from the 20s. The movie is an adaptation of the story of the same name by H.P. Lovecraft, in which Cthulhu was described as an ancient alien monster that could drive anyone crazy with just one look. Is often considered one of the best adaptations of Lovecraft's film work. There is also a plot to open a portal between another dimension and the Earth. Would Marth survive? Directed by Sean Branney. The film is an adaptation of a story of the same name by Lovecraft. We'll be honest here, the film is not a visual spectacle, but has a lot of love for its source material, and what it lacks in budget, he definitely makes up for that in his love for Lovecrafty. Of course, brings with it that we get a very authentic and honest adaptation, and that in itself is probably reason enough for everyone to watch it. If you agree with our decisions, let us know in the comments below. If you liked today's video, don't forget to send a like and subscribe to our channel for more nerdy content. Until next time, I'm Rylan. Have a good one, be safe, and thanks for watching.